If music is such a powerful medicine, why are most people not using it in any way?
We're being suppressed so that we can work for capitalism, to keep the machine running.
Do you see people judging you?
I felt my body was not my body. I was even depressed and thinking about ways to enhance myself that is not natural.
Here you are, the goddess.
In the end, we're all just screaming for love.
Bring me back home to my soul, to my soul.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode. My guest today is one of my favorite artists of all time. I listen to her music on Spotify. I'll leave a link to it as well. She's amazing. She's a medicine woman. She's an artist. She supports female. She's half Balinese, half Swiss, so she has both wisdoms in her heritage. And she's just an amazing person, so I'm really happy to have you back. We did an episode a year ago, and now we're back. Welcome, Purnama.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on the Now Soul to Soul.
Now soul to soul. Now it's back to the core.
Yes.
Amazing. So I want to start with something that happened recently. You went to Switzerland, to your second home.
Yeah.
Can you describe how was it living in Bali for so long and then going back and serving people there? Tell me about it.
So Switzerland is my fatherland, where my dad is from, and I've been going back the last 3 years. Each time in the summer, doing offerings there, sharing music, doing ceremonies, and every time growing so much and building community. Because also I always find that in Bali, it's so easy to share ceremonies and to share circles and do all these things and make music, right? And there, it's a very different society. It's a society where growing up, I was believed that as a musician, you cannot make a living. And no rituals, like no traditions that are like really anchored in something ancient. And so coming back there and being able to make a living with music and bringing back rites, bringing back circles is always something that is so deeply nourishing, not only for me, but also, for the people that I come back to and the community there that I'm growing with. And just every time it's just keeps becoming more and more amazing. And then also this time going with my partner was just, next level. Beautiful.
Yeah, we're going to talk about your new relationship and love in a second, but it's interesting to me that Switzerland is so strict in their regime, let's say.
Yeah.
And you're from Bali where everything is completely laid back. So when you come there the way you are, do you see people judging you there? Not the community, but just people around in Switzerland?
I think it's something that comes from the inside, right? Like I remember I often felt like a bird of paradise in the middle of, I don't know, white swallows, like something like that. Just sticking out in a way that I felt was not positive. And I always tried to conform so much to a point that I just became sick. And I knew that Switzerland was not the place for me to stay and to live and to thrive in that moment. But now when I come back, and now with the wisdom and the knowing that I'm good the way I am, and I have my own medicine, and I have a medicine that is potent, and that people that need this medicine love, and coming back with this wisdom and coming back with the confidence that I have now, I don't feel judged anymore by sticking out. Like it's not a bad sticking out anymore, but it's like a sticking out like as a way to like signal to other people there who are like me, like you're not alone. Like we're all a family, you know, we're part of a community.
Yeah. So for people who don't know you, what is your medicine?
I'm a musician and a ceremonialist. So I use music as a way for healing, as a medicine. I do ceremonies. So I would say my signature offering is singing circles, where I animate people to sing and to liberate their voice, because it's just pure medicine, like to sing and to liberate your voice. It has been proven that singing activates the vagus nerve, so it calms you down, it relaxes you, and you're just able to drop into more into yourself and connect more with your deeper self.
Yeah. I was riding on our bike here listening to our previous episode and you were singing amazing songs. Hopefully we'll hear more of you today. And I was like, I cannot imagine you without you singing. And it's interesting how you like transform when you sing. You're this confident woman. When you look at you, you're very smart. But when you sing, you transform into something divine. It's like,
Thank you.
it's your voice is so strong and it just like penetrates the soul. It's like it's completely different. And I'm like, do you feel different when you sing? Do you feel the power?
I feel that when I sing, something takes over me. When I'm able to drop into just a song and focus on the song and like not focus on what are other people thinking right now and in the performance. And that's why I love ceremonies, because in ceremonies, it's not like a performance. You're not singing to perform, but you're singing to offer this song and to be a bridge between spirit and this world. And yeah, for me, it's dropping into meditation. Because for me, it's actually very hard to meditate. It's very hard for me to just sit still and meditate. But playing a song or singing, I just come into this flow state.
And for people who are listening to you singing, how does a healing happen? What can they experience?
It can happen through many different ways. So first of all, it's the vibration that is sent out. So for example, when you would put a glass of water over frequencies, over music, and then certain frequencies can create geometric shapes on the water. And the same way it works with sound. Sound creates vibrations and frequencies that can impact you and can impact your body. And then the other way is conveying a message through song. It's like poetry, right? Like poetry, everyone can interpret in their own way. And the same with a song. Like you can take a message out of the song that you really need to hear in that moment. For me, music was a big medicine when I was a teenager, again, when I felt really left out. And the music that helped me the most during that time was like punk rock and emo and all of that.
All right.
Because it just helped me to express the anger that I felt and the frustration and the sadness and the darkness. And it was just a channel, like just feeling that I'm not alone. And now it's music medicine, like songs that speak about nature and about humanity as one and as a family. And it's just a beautiful reminder that there's other people out there that think the same way that you do, that you're not alone in your thoughts.
Wow. I really like the quote from you and from our last episode when you said, imagine instead of watching TV or like wasting your time, paraphrasing what you said, we would all play music. Mm-hmm. If music is such a powerful medicine, why are most people not using it in any way?
I think that we have become suppressed in using our creativity and expressing ourselves creatively to become employees. Like you see it in Switzerland, like at school, we're encouraged to become employees, to work for a company and, work yourself up the company ladder. And if you're creative, if you're individual, if you're an artist, then you're going to have a hard time. So we're being suppressed so that we can work for capitalism, to keep the machine running, right? Because if most of us would just follow arts and, do what we love the most, the machine would collapse.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
All the employees listening to us like, I don't want it to collapse. Go back to work.
I mean, it depends if you love your company and if your company is doing great things, if you work for an NGO or I don't know. There's many companies that do amazing things, but most of them are all for profit and it's not about saving the earth for many.
On the same note, last time we spoke, you were talking about school in Bali versus school in Switzerland, which is actually an opposite from those cultures, because school in Bali is very sort of everything according to regime, according to command, and there's not a lot of creativity at all. While school in Switzerland, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But somehow, at the end in Bali, there's way more creativity in local people as well as people who come here. They open their hearts and they sing. While Switzerland, at the end, you become conditioned and enclosed.
Yeah, it's very true. And it's a very interesting point. And I think that's why both cultures can learn from each other. And I feel very fortunate that I had the experience of going to school in Switzerland and having those experiences of being encouraged to more individualism and creativity in school. Whereas here, as you say, it's like more rigid, more structured, like more military style. But the difference in Bali is, and in Indonesia in general, also on the other islands, that you grow up with arts. You grow up with music. Especially here in Bali, you're surrounded with music and dance all the time since you're small. And here it's a way to offer. It's an offering that we make to the gods. So it's a completely different culture. And also it hasn't been like that for a long time. Like if you would travel back in time, like before, schools were not like that. It's more like under the Indonesian government that it's like more rigid now. But before, life here was all about music and dance and art.
What do you think is more rigid now?
Definitely the school system and suppressing individualism in the school system, in the Indonesian school system.
So making sure that you're just part of the collective and not by yourself.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
you think that in time will impact the creativity of people here?
I don't think so, because in our core, Indonesians are very creative. We're very artistic, and we see art in everything. We have art in the nature around us, and the art of our ancestors that is very much still alive. So I think it's more the way of working that is like becoming more like, let's say, like conforming to a standard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one thing that you also touched on is that once you were in Switzerland, you got conditioned a lot. So coming from Bali to school in Switzerland, you got through all this system conditioning. What were some of the conditioning that was the hardest to peel away, or you're still peeling away?
Being able to make a living as an artist, like that's also here in Indonesia, it's easier to make a living as an artist. Like you're not discouraged from it. But in Switzerland, it's like, wait, you want to become a painter or a musician? Like, just forget it. Like, forget it straight away. Like when we're 10-year-old, I remember I was in school in 6th grade, and the teacher would like encourage everyone who said wanting to do something artistic with like, I don't think it's a good idea. Actually, like you shouldn't do that. And that impacted me so much and so deeply that it took me a really long time to peel that away. And even when I knew at my core, like that music is my offering and that's what I have to do and what I'm here to do, it cost me so much energy to just stop doing all the other things that I was doing in order to make money and just focus on the music.
Wow.
There was so much fear in me to just let go of that and surrender to the music path.
Speaking about music, should we play some music before we go into deeper conversations about your backstory as Michelle?
Sure. Yeah,
do it.
we can go for it.
Okay, let's do it.
Cúrame, tu medicina, cúrame, cúrame, oh, cúrame con tu medicina. Guíame, guíame a la luz, guíame, guíame, oh, guíame a la luz.
Amazing.
Thank you.
What is that song about?
The song is in Spanish. I love songs in Spanish. It's such a beautiful language. It's called Regresar, to come back home. So it's a song talking to the force, talking to the universe, the divine, about reminding me of my roots and helping me to grow and curing with the medicine and guiding to the light.
Beautiful. So, talking about coming back home, you came from Switzerland to Bali. You lived in Bali for quite some time now. How do you feel the Balinese community accepting you back, I guess?
Definitely there was some wondering in the beginning, like, why would you move back to Bali? Like, especially my mom, she was like, I immigrated all the way from Bali to Switzerland to provide you a better life. And you're going back to Bali. Like, why? Bali's poor. Like, that's the saying that people told me. And also people here, like, why would you move from such a rich country like Switzerland to Bali, back to Indonesia? And I would say to that, Switzerland might be rich in material things, but Bali is so rich in spiritualism. It's so rich in so many other ways, like just being able to walk down a street and strangers smiling at you, and being able to go to a shop and forgetting the money and they tell you, oh, it's fine, you can pay next time you come back, things like that. And having a community, having friends and family that even after years not seeing each other, like they still treat you like, like family, like they do. Whereas in Switzerland, everything is like so much more distant. And the material has made us Swiss people become very comfortable. And so you don't ask each other anymore for help, and you don't provide help anymore to each other. And for me, that's a different kind of wealth that we have here. Yeah. So Bali is not less wealthy. Indonesia is not less wealthy than the West. It's just the wealth looks different.
Last time when we spoke, you were talking about how women are not treated equally in Bali, in Indonesia, as men. And there's a lot of taboo that things you cannot do that are considered not according to standard in Bali. Let's say you were talking about before about having tattoos. You were saying your parents told you if you make another tattoo, you won't be a Balinese girl anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're back here, you're an artist, you have tattoos, you probably speak differently because you speak English and Bahasa. So does that impact you in the relationship with local people in here? Do they see you as bule, what they call the person from outside?
Yeah.
Or they see you as an equal?
I mean, in my village, people know me and, they know, oh, she's the
Creative one.
granddaughter. Yeah, so there I feel very at home, but it's very true that as soon as I step outside of my village, but even in the village, there's still some people that don't know me, and then they think like, oh, wow, you're a bule, you speak so good Balinese or Indonesian. How's that? And it happens at least once a day. And there's a notion on that still, shows me that there's a bit of a close-mindedness towards people like me that are half Indonesian and half something else. And it happens to a lot of other people that I know that are mixed, that, we're being treated differently in this country. Yeah.
This is something that I don't personally enjoy. Let's say I go to a hospital.
Yeah.
There's a lineup of people and I sit at the end. I'm like, I don't need any special treatment. I'm just here as everybody else. The doctor comes out. He's like, comes to me and says, you don't have to wait. And we go ahead. And to me, it's very hard for me to understand why people here treat people who just come to visit or live here but really are not from here. They don't, some of them don't respect the rituals, or they don't understand the culture. They're treated as superior to people who live here and who are from here.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't sit in my head well.
Well, it's very unfortunate because it's a remainder of colonialism. Like Indonesia suffered hundreds of years under the hands of colonizers, and the last of them were Dutch people, and it was like only in 1945 where we gained independence, and so it's been very recent. And because of that, like the wound is still there, the wound of being colonized and of having to serve people, of like being taught to serve white people. That came here and took from the land and took from the people, and there's many wounds still in this country and in the people, and also in the way how we relate to people from outside. And also I feel that also with me, like that Balinese or Indonesians would come to me and like, oh, your skin is so white, so beautiful, and I'm like, well, your skin is equally as beautiful, and if not more beautiful, because if you would know, in Europe, people will go and pay $20 to go and sit in a sandbank and get tanned.
Yeah.
So, you know,
And here, people whiten their skin. The girls
Yeah.
whiten their skin. And I never paid attention until I had a podcast episode with also a girl from Bali. And she said how she was bullied because she was darker than other people in her school. How, like, this is so strange.
yeah, it's very unfortunate. It's something that makes me very sad. Like in the women's circles that I was doing and also teaching the girls, like for me, one of the things that I really love to share was love your skin and love all about you that the colonizers taught you not to love. And for me, also decolonizing is something that is very dear to me. And teaching, like maybe not teaching, but trying to be an inspiration for people to love our culture, to love how we look like, to love where we come from. And also, like, for example, my mom, she was so eager to leave Bali and live in Switzerland where everything is so much better. For me, I think coming back to Bali and living here has brought a lot of healing to her, like in seeing, my daughter is doing well in Bali. She's not poor. She's doing great. And appreciating our culture again.
Yeah. What I really like about you, how you embrace who you are and accept who you are and share the way you are. You had some Instagram posts when you were saying, I accept my body, something like that. I remember a couple of them. And I'm like, this is so nice. You just like loving who you are. And to
Yeah.
me, that's a struggle. I think to many people, it's a struggle to accept and love who you are. No matter how you look like today, you still love yourself. How do you come to that point to accepting and loving yourself?
Yeah. It's still a struggle. Even though I'm more accepting of myself, there's still days when I look in the mirror or I look at my body, I'm like, oh, I wish I looked different. But it's definitely way better than before. I didn't grow up with a lot of self-confidence. I grew up with my mom being very negative about my appearance, like I got criticized a lot. And I know now that it's a cycle that the women in my family have gone through. Like either we're not skinny, we're too skinny, or we're not skinny enough. I had acne as well. I had really bad acne for years in my teenage years. And so for that, I received a lot of criticism. And even after that, I felt my body was not my body. Like it was constant target of criticism from my own mother. So it was really hard for me to love myself. I grew up as a teenager, like wanting to hide myself behind my hair and not wanting to leave the house much. And also coming to points where I was even depressed and thinking about ways to, enhance myself that is not natural. Like, what can I do? What procedures can I do to make myself look different? In the end, what has helped me to accept myself is many things. many things. The main and the most important thing was for me was to leave society and just spend time in nature. Just spend time with Mother Nature. I lived in the Amazon jungle for a few weeks. I was traveling before that in South America with a tent and mostly on my own, sleeping in nature, and just realizing that all these beauty standards and everything that television is telling us, that magazines are telling us, is not real. Like, what is real is nature, and everything in nature is perfect. God has not made anyone in any way that is not perfect. Like, perfection is just something that we humans like put a label on and say, oh, this is perfect, but this not. If your nose looks like this, you know, but then beauty standards have evolved and changed in the last hundreds of years. So spending time in nature for me is always like a reminder of that everything in nature is just perfect and complete. And so are we, and so is every one of us.
Yeah, if you look at even in Europe, right? 200 years ago, people whitened their skin.
Yeah.
No matter how white you are, you still need to be whiter. So you whiten your skin, you wear a wig, and you look very different from now. Now, if you're too white, people are like, this person's too white.
Yeah.
You need to go get a suntan.
Absolutely. Or also when you look at the paintings, I don't remember from which time, but the famous painting of Venus, and Venus is like the goddess of beauty, and she's like I think in my Indonesian family would say she's fat, but she's curvy, you know, she's a bit of a belly, she has big thighs, and that was considered beautiful back then.
Yeah.
And for me, that was also healing, like just looking at how beauty standards have shifted and like looking at, oh, but I would have been beautiful if I would have been like born in that time.
Yeah, in many countries, I think I heard in India, the man who doesn't have extra weight are considered less beautiful because I guess the wealthier you are in those countries, well, there's discrepancy between wealthy and poor. The wealthier you are, the more you eat, the fatter you look.
Yeah,
And that's considered sexy.
absolutely.
While in US, it's like, if you don't have a six-pack, you like, go away.
Yeah.
And I think a lot because social media, we get feeded the pictures of artificially enhanced people, often using steroids or photoshopped images, how people should look like. And then people try to achieve that and they ruin their life, they ruin their hormones, and it's just complete disaster.
Yeah. But I think it's changing. Like people are becoming more real and more authentic. Like authenticity is becoming more and more valued. And I'm very happy to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also feel that when you do things that empower you, you will look more beautiful. The problem is when everybody's working the same job and everybody driving the same car, going to the same work and watching Netflix, you start to find something else. You're like, okay, we all do the same thing anyway, but you at least are more fit. But if somebody like, let's say you, when you sing, well, here you are, the goddess. If people would do things like that and express themselves and be different, then would be like different communities like here where you can, okay, I like to hang out with people who play guitars. I like to hang out with people who build businesses, not anymore, but I used to. And you just hang out with different people and they're beautiful in their own way.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting. So I think diversity allows people to express beauty in different ways. But if you're all the same, then I guess you have to be fit and pumped with bollocks or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the thing that you wrote in the questionnaire I gave you. So I asked you about some profound experiences. You touched on the thing that your mom was telling to you. So I want to drill a little deeper on that. You wrote that I came from difficult family relationships, abusive parent, and the sudden loss of someone that you loved.
Mm-hmm.
Can you share that story? Like, how does this abuse showed up? And what's a story about losing someone you loved?
The person that I lost was my dad. He was very dear to me. And I'm grateful for all that he's done. Like, his impact on me is basically what makes me who I am today. And yeah, I went through times in my teenage years and early adulthood where I felt very misunderstood and very lonely. And I home was not home for me. For me, coming home was was it was a place where I felt like it was traumatizing. And growing up, and now especially, I understand that it's a cycle. It's a cycle that has been going on in my family from my mother's side for many generations. And being able to forgive and also to love, and coming back to love, like just keep coming back to love, is the thing that has given me a lot of strength in the last years. Because there was like a point in my life where I thought, I don't want to like continue anymore with this relationship with my mother. Like I just want to break it off. And also because of that, I always thought that Bali was not an option for me. Like it was not an option for me to come back to Bali. Switzerland was also not an option because of the reasons that I told earlier. So I was looking for home all over the world. I went to South America and I thought, oh, maybe South America is home. But then it was in a deep healing session that I realized that everything that our parents do for us is out of love. And sometimes they don't know how to love because they've never been shown love. And when that clicked, I understood that, we all have different ways of expressing love. And sometimes we try so hard to be loved by someone in a certain way that we want to be loved in, and this person cannot. They have never learned how to express love in that way. And then it's on us to love ourselves and to give ourselves the love we need. And maybe not from that source, maybe finding other sources of love. And for me, that what was great on the travels, I found many mother figures for me. Like I was staying in other people's houses and the women there became like moms to me. Like they told me, oh, you're so beautiful. And I was like, oh my God, thank you. I've never heard that from a mother figure. And that was very healing, and like accepting that there's not only one way for love to come to me. There's many other ways where love can come to me too, and opening up to that and accepting the ways how my mother can love me. And she loves me in different ways. Like for her, it's more material. It's like, oh, I can help you pay your bills. She cannot tell me words of love, but yeah. And since I've accepted that and accepted also that it's a cycle that I'm here to break, I will certainly raise my kids differently.
Yeah, I think it's so good to get awareness.
Yeah.
Because for generations, people in my family, same as your family, doing certain things without any awareness.
Yeah.
They're just like, well, my mom did that way, then I'm doing that way.
Exactly.
And everybody's doing that way.
Yes.
But for us, for some reason, I guess being in Bali and having all those experiences, we are lucky to get awareness that there are other ways to do things.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to be honest, it's not easy. Like, I tend to go back to how my parents raised me a lot with my kids. But catching yourself and fixing it and saying sorry and apologizing and talking about it, I think that's a big thing that never happened to me. Because let's say if we have an argument, but then in the morning everything is fine. Like there was no argument. Yeah. And for me, I was raised that way. And I was like, okay, that's probably normal. But then you realize, no, it needs to be talked about, it needs to be honest. And once you do that, I think that breaks the cycle and the next generation can go and build their own way of.
Absolutely. And yeah, like not having that justification, but my parents did it that way. Like,
yeah.
Or like, I'm your parent, I can do that. Like, yeah, you're my parent, but you still need to respect me. Like, yeah, that's how it changes.
So how does your relationship with your mom change than what it is now?
It's really good now. We have a good relationship now. I live in her house, so I'm super grateful for that. Here in Bali, and yeah.
It's one way of showing love for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And she shows me love, as I said, in the ways that she can. And I know that she's always there for me. Like, I know that when I'm in trouble or, yeah, when I need financial help, she's there. But it's funny how, like, also the relationship has changed a little bit, that I'm like the one, like, listening to her when she has troubles, especially like love troubles. And, yeah, like showing up for her in ways that I know that she has not been shown up for in her family. And, yeah, teaching about love. Like, I think the most profound thing was once we had a big argument again. And usually when we have an argument, she screams, I scream, and then it just like becomes like more and more. And then one time we were on the phone and again having an argument. And then I was like, oh, we're going into an argument again. It can either go that way, or I just paused in that moment and I said, Mom, I love you. And the argument is solved.
Beautiful.
Just like that, like just by showing love.
Yeah.
Because in the end, we're all just screaming for love. Like when we scream at each other, it's just because we feel misunderstood and because we want to be loved.
Wow, that's very powerful. Yeah, we're just screaming for love. I love
Yeah.
it. So you lost your dad. That was a role figure in your life, I assume. How did healing from that trauma happen, and what did you learn?
For me, losing my dad was a big lesson in accepting death, accepting that things come to an end, and moving on, but also that the soul is infinite, and feeling that even though his physical body is gone, he still lives in so much. Like he lives through us. Like already the way how he taught me, and his impact that he has had on us as a family. Like we move now differently because of him. Like I say things differently because of him. And the love for music, the love for arts, it comes from him. So in that way, he lives through me. And knowing that his guidance and his love is always there. In Bali, especially in Hinduism, we believe in reincarnation. We believe that the soul is infinite. And it's such a beautiful way to look at life, that it doesn't end with death, but death just means that the body transcends and transforms from being physical into being spirit.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
What were some of the biggest learnings you got from him in life?
Big heart. Like he was very generous, very big heart. He was a very hard worker as well. My dad was working in construction. He was a construction worker. And he did everything for the family. Like I remember he would pick me up at like 3 a.m. if I was like, when I was 15, 16, going out for the first time, and we were living in the countryside. So there's like no way to come back home. And he would get up at 3 a.m. to pick me up.
Wow.
Like that's a things that he did, you know, like without questions, without asking, like, I'm here for you. Like just going over the top to be there for the family.
Yeah, it's a lot not what we say, but what we do. We're not asked to do.
Yeah.
That we remember the most.
Mm-hmm.
Which
Absolutely.
is a mental note for me as a dad. That's great.
Yeah.
So you've been serving community here in Bali and outside of Bali a lot since we last spoke. Probably every day you perform somewhere or serve. And I assume that deepens your relationship to spirituality. So my question is, in which ways you're getting more connected to spirit through your service?
I always love when I do an offering or when I share a song, to take people out of their minds and into their hearts, bringing them back into their bodies, reminding that all is divine. For me, that's a very important thing, because sometimes we forget and we look at each other and we think, oh, that human pisses me off, or we throw trash somewhere, but like reminding that everything is sacred, that every human is sacred, and that everything has to be treated with respect. For me, that's one way how I would say that I connect deeper with spirit.
Beautiful. Wow. Should we play another song?
Sure,
Yeah,
can do it.
let's do it.
See you in the smile of every sister. I feel you in the hug of every brother. I see you dancing in the wind in the trees. I feel you in the earth beneath my feet. No moment passes by without reason. Every step, every breath follows destined. You show me the truth that I was seeking. In your embrace, at last I'm resting. Ah, ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh, the fire of passion you bring alive, an infinite fountain of joy and light. Oh, you are my muse and the artist of life. Under your touch, everything is divine. You lift me up high through all skies, a higher love on earth side I cannot find. You are my muse, the great source of life.
What inspired you to write this song?
Yeah, that was in a mushroom ceremony.
All right.
And towards the end, I just picked up the guitar, and what came out first was the. And you know how some psychedelics just have like this ability to open you up to the divine and everything, and to see everything clearly. And yeah, in that moment, I remember like I was in a room full of family, like friends. And I was like, wow, I just see God in each one of you. I see God in every brother and every sister that I see in that room. And then the rest, yeah, just came through like that, like refining and, yeah, working on the words.
Wow. The last topic I want to discuss is love.
Oh, I love love.
You love love. What is love for you?
Love is the force that created everything. Love has created this universe, and love created you and me. Like, we're all here because of love. We're here because two people loved each other and created a family, created humans.
Yeah.
So love is all there is. And yeah,
Oh, there it is, love.
all you need is love.
Yes, that was right.
Yeah.
The right lyrics from that song. So you're in a new relationship right now. You both went to Switzerland, which was your first time, I guess, outside of Bali to bond. What do you learn from this experience?
Many things. Yeah, it was challenging, but also very beautiful. I was supposed to go on my own to Switzerland. That was the plan. Like, I would go, and then we would meet back in Bali. But because we were so freshly together and like still in the honeymoon phase, we're like really missing each other, and it was being really hard to be apart for such a long time. And then also the time differences. And I'm very bad at messaging. Like, anyone who has like been messaging me knows that I take a long time to respond. And so that also has been causing a lot of conflict. And I was also a lot in the scarcity mindset. So for me, it took a long time, and I'm still working on getting out of the scarcity mindset that I've grown up with, and embracing the possibility that we're infinitely abundant. And so for me, the reason to not invite him initially to Switzerland was I had a lot of fear. Like, how are we gonna sustain ourselves? How are we gonna live in Switzerland? It's a very expensive country. We just saw like a ranking, and Switzerland is like top 2 most expensive country in the world.
Yeah.
But then I was like 1 week in Switzerland, and I was like just missing him so much. And I was like, just come. Like, we can do it. We can create abundance. I know it. Let's get out of this scarcity mindset. And yeah, we can do some events. It's all fine. Just come. And yeah, a few weeks later, we reunited, and it was really beautiful to be in my fatherland together and do a lot of offerings, which, you know, like when you're freshly you're in a new relationship, you do offerings together. There's a lot of growth there, a lot of growing edges, because you have to, when you do things together, you have to keep in mind, like, there's another person also, and not make decisions on your own and stuff like that. So learn a lot there. And also sharing a small room and a single bed. And we love to quote the Bob Marley song, "We share the shelter of my single bed." But we overcame those challenges by leaning into love. And that's, again, I was just realizing, you know, like, we live in a society where people like jump from one relationship to the next, or like from one Tinder date to the next, because sometimes things get difficult. And sometimes it seems like you don't have a common ground because, one person has ADHD and the other person is like, oh my gosh, you're not responding to my messages. This cannot work out. But yeah, the big lesson was to keep leaning into love and trusting that we can create beauty together. And as long as we stay in our hearts, as long as we stay in our hearts and we do things from our hearts, the universe is here to support that.
Beautiful. Last question I asked you before, but maybe it changed, so I'll ask it again. According to Purnama, how to live a happy and fulfilling life?
How to live a happy and fulfilled life.
Yeah.
Keep leaning into love.
Leading into love.
Yeah, I love this Rumi quote that says, your task is not to seek love, but it's to remove the barriers that you have built against love. And I think these are very wise words from him because, yeah, to be happy, it also involves to take risks sometimes and, open up your heart to love and opening up to the risk of, maybe some things go wrong, but what if it doesn't go wrong? What if it goes and creates so much beauty in your life and so many teachings? So, yeah, just keep leaning into love and keep opening your heart up.
I love it. Thank you for coming, sharing your wisdom, your music.
So
I really, really
much.
appreciate you. For everybody watching, please lean into love. Go subscribe, lean into love. Like the video, lean into love. And we'll talk to you next one. Bye-bye.